So I've really been enjoying bringing you guys along on kind of smaller craft or craft related projects throughout the week. And this week I have been accumulating a pile of things that I need to fix, and I feel like it's a fun time to address said pile. So I've got 3 items that I have stuff to do to that I'd like to do along with you. So over the next few days, I'll be working on them. I think today's Wednesday. I'll probably do Wednesday and Thursday, but might extend till Friday. We'll see. But yeah, 3 things that I'd like to work on to fix. And so the first one that I want to fix is this pair of socks, which I made last Christmas, so in 2023, like late 2023, and they do not have any nylon in them. The sock yarn I used is just 100% superwash, and so they have started to wear thin in some areas. So I want to come in and fix them. And so you can see like right here at kind of the ball of the foot is getting thin, and then on the heel is getting very thin. Like some of these I feel like are gonna snap any second. Like this one's not as bad for some reason. I don't know which foot I wear each sock on, but this one is very thin. So yeah, like some of those areas, look at that thread. I don't know how that hasn't broken, and so it needs to be fixed. There's also like fuzz coming off on the inside from where it's wearing, and so they really need to be mended. And so my plan with these is just to duplicate stitch over where it is, and I think it'd be fun to do that in kind of a contrast yarn, like a very variegated contrasty yarn. So I mean, it's on the bottom, it's only on the bottom where you're going to be able to see where I mended it, so I can kind of do whatever I want because the yarn, it's really not going to be seen once I'm wearing the socks. So I'm thinking it'd be fun to do like a variegated contrast kind of color here. So I need something with strength, so I need to choose a sock yarn that has nylon in it, and I am gonna need to choose something that's already wound up, and I'm not gonna mess with an existing project or planned project by using it. So we'll go through kind of my scrap sock yarn wall and pile to decide what to use, and then we can just mend this together. I know normally people use like a darning egg or darning mushroom. I don't have either of those. I'm gonna see what I can maybe put to add some structure to the back of this, but I also think like I'm not fully darning right now because there are still full stitches. I just need to kind of duplicate stitch over them. So I think that's gonna be easy enough without a darning egg. So that's project 1 that I'll probably tackle first. Project 2 is this slipover, which I've talked about at this point many times, and it's on my spring knitting plans to re-knit this because I'll just try it on and show you. It is huge. It's way too big. Here, let me scoop back so you can really, yeah, like the neck is below the bottom of like my boob ends here and the neck's here. So we really need to re-knit this one. The armhole is basically at the bottom of my cropped shirt, and so I really want to re-knit this because it is beautiful. So it's been on my spring knitting plans. It is my spring knitting plan. I need to actually do it, and I'm not going to start knitting it today because I've got a lot on my needles right now, but I think that over the next few days I want to frog it, and so it's ready for me to start knitting when I am ready. So that's on the agenda, is to just frog this. I'm gonna have to unpick not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, 5 Italian bind offs. There's the neckline. I did a split hem, so there's 2 here, and then there's the armholes, which both also have Italian bind offs. So 5 Italian bind offs to pick out, which is the worst thing ever. And then after that, it's just frogging. It is with Surrey, so it's gonna be sticky, which is gonna be kind of annoying, but it'll be doable. And so that's on the agenda. And then my final project that I need to tackle is not knitting related, but crafty visible mending related. And it's these overalls, which I love these. I've had them for many, many years. They're from Urban Outfitters. I got them in college, and they developed a hole in the crotch. Here. Hole right in the crotch. And so, you know, here's like where the crotch meets all the seams, and it's right there. And so I think it's from friction, or I don't know. Doesn't really matter. I want to mend this one using I think it's called Sashiko visible mending. And so I do have a little square of fabric that's just from a pair of curtains that I had to hem. And so I have like a square of fabric that I'll put here, and then we'll do a visible mend on the other side where I'll stitch over, kind of add an embroidery technique that stabilizes the fabric I've put to cover up the hole and add future strength because it has the embroidery. So that'll be fun as well. So got our 3 projects, and hopefully this is fun to work on. So let's just get into it. Okay, starting off with these socks, I'm at my yarn pair to hopefully find some fun yarn to use with these. There are a few, like I like this, you can't see that, but I like this color here. Here, let me move you closer. Okay, very up close with the yarn wall so you can see everything. I like this color with them. Let me just pull it out. This is always like a very careful operation. I like this yarn potentially with them, again, just on the bottom, but I feel like this is actually enough yarn to make another pair of socks. So I don't really want to mess with it because I want to make another pair of socks if I can. I also was kind of thinking like this one down here, but again, same thing. I'd rather make another pair of socks. I think I have enough. And so I'm looking at kind of my smaller quantities here. Like maybe this blue would be nice because like there is the white detailing here. And again, not gonna see it when I'm wearing the socks, but the blue might be nice because it's still got a lot of white in it, but it does have some fun variegation, which I think would be fun to play with in the mending process. So that could maybe be a potential. I'll hold on to it. I'm just dropping it below me to think about. It also, like, I'm not going to do the hot pink. I could do the hot pink, that would be fun, but I want to save that for like color work stuff that you're going to see. Could do this, which is blues and pinks, it's super variegated, would be very different than the rest of the sock, but could be really fun. I could do this. This might be enough for a sock, but I feel like it's cutting it close, and I don't know if I'd want to make another pair of socks out of this. So could do that, which could be fun. Like, it's a little simpler, but still very variegated. So, and then there is this one, which has like a few speckles and a few spots. It's like primarily white with some gray and pink and some like greenish stuff in there, which could also be nice. It's, you know, primarily neutral, but then has some fun pops. I think I'd prefer this over the blue I showed. So I don't know, maybe. And then let's look at my scraps really quick. I feel like the rest of these are pretty tonal yarns, which I don't really want to use a tonal because that's boring. Or they're like large enough quantities. Like this one would be fun, but it's a large enough quantity to make another pair of socks. So I'm not gonna do that one. So let's look at my yarn bowl. Got my yarn bowl with a bunch of scraps. And I did bring over my like mini skein basket because I could be convinced to wind up a mini skein. So I've got mostly neutrals or like tonals in my yarn bowl because I don't know, I feel like that's what I normally use as small quantities, like dark color. Again, not in the mood for neutrals. I could do this, which I don't love it. I don't know, like could work, but I don't love it. I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna say no right now. Digging through. I might have enough of this yarn, which could be fun because I'd originally made these as Christmas socks. So I feel like a green, like a red to go with them could also be fun because it kind of adds to the Christmassy. So that might be my top choice right now. We shall see. I hope I have enough. I do also have like this squiggly bit, which I wouldn't want to use, but I could. I've got like brown. I'm not gonna do brown. My gosh. Little small quantities of yarn are so tangly, so this is like a really fun experiment here. I've got this periwinkle, which would look nice, but again, I don't want to do a tonal. That seems boring. So yeah, those are the options here in this bowl. And then finally, I've got my little basket of mini skeins, and I don't feel like any of these are it. This could be fun. Little speckles like that. But I might want to save this to make another Rebka pouch, one of the little fish pouches. Although if I use some of it for this, I'd still have enough. This could be really quite fun. This is from one of my I got this Advent in August of 2023. That's a Mystery Shack themed one from the show Gravity Falls. And this is one of the colors. And so it's got, you know, lots of little areas of color, but it's mostly white. That could be really fun, actually. Ooh. Or this one, which pink, yellow, greens, but mostly white. And it's different greens. Although, I don't know, the greens, they're definitely different, but they're not like that different. So maybe that one could be cool. Yeah, I've also got these, but these are either tonals or like just little speckles, and I don't feel like that's fun enough. So I've got my selection point here. So now I've got my like kind of final choices that I want to decide on. So let's see what we think. We've got this one, which I did have a very visceral reaction to, but I don't know. My preference would be first to use the tiniest little quantities, which is this, and a red could be fun and actually add to like the Christmas sock element rather than take away. So that could be really fun. It would be a big contrast, but again, it's on the bottom of the foot and Christmassy. So there's that. Then I feel like my second choice would be this one, maybe, for a more neutral. It's still variegated, but much more neutral. But I feel like it's like, it doesn't, the tone of the white or the like neutral isn't the same tone as this. This is a little bit warmer. And so I feel like it would be weird. So I'm eliminating it. This is a no. And then I've got this one, which I feel like the same problem. This white is a lot whiter or cooler than this white, and it would just be a little boring. I've got this one, which could be fun, but I feel like I'd prefer this over that. So not that one. Then I've got this one. No, I don't have a good explanation for why. I just no. Then there's this one, which slightly whiter, but like pretty close there. And then could be really fun. This one is a superwash with nylon, and it could be fun. It could be fun, but I'd have to wind yarn up. So there is that. But that could be really, really fun. I don't know. This might be my favorite. And then I've got this one, which I had the visceral reaction to, but now I'm like, it is a pretty close white. It might even be a little warmer. And then it is fun with like all the different colors. But pink and yellow aren't in the sock. I mean, neither are any of these colors, but green is in the sock. And these are different enough greens that I feel like it would be weird. Again, it's on the bottom of the foot, doesn't matter, but I feel like it'd be weird. So I think I want to do this one. I think that would be really fun to see. This one could also be nice, but I don't really know how much yarn this is gonna take. I imagine this would be fine, but I don't know, something about like the little speckles. I want to do this one. I want to do this one. So gonna wind this up, and then to go over everything, I'll need to use a darning needle. So I've got, these are my favorite kinds of needles. I've shown these before, but instead of like having one eye where you have to thread the needle in, the whole needle's an eye, and so you can kind of open it a little bit more and pull it through like that. And then while you're sewing, you can also move the yarn around. So these are my preferred darning needle. And so I've got one of those. Gonna wind this ball up real quick, and then we can get started. With a cheeky little check-in on my darned socks. So I did finish the first one. This took me like 3 hours. I sat in 3 different places. I sat upstairs and did it for a while. I went outside, and then I sat on my couch and did it. But look, I've got 2 little patches on here, and I started my second one. So this is a lot more time consuming than I thought, but I am getting faster. Like, this patch took me quite a while, but then this patch took me like 10 minutes, if that, and I feel like I'm speeding up again here. So I'm getting the technique down, which is great. There's some areas like where it was thinner, it was harder to keep my tension right, so it's like slightly looser here, but overall it feels a lot more stable. I already tried the sock on too, and it still fits, so that is awesome. So I'm just gonna work on this one. This one, I feel like the area is wider, but it's not as thinned. So I have more to darn, but it's not as severe of a darning. Okay, it's now Thursday, and I'm sitting with Miss Fig because she's napping on my socks that I darned. Or I guess I didn't darn them because they weren't fully like worn through. I just duplicate stitched over them. But I was able to get one out. It's very warm from her. So here's one all fixed up, and I need to weave in the ends on this one. And then the other is right there. So it is done though, and that one has the ends weaved in or woven in. So this was really fun. It was like really relaxing to do it. It took a long time. Like, this is not very many stitches, but it took a very, very long time. Like, probably 4 hours of doing in between like other things, maybe longer, probably like 5 hours to do 4 patches. But I think it's worth it because now I can wear these again, which is exciting. And yeah, that's great. So moving on to my next fix, I am going to fix these overalls. So as I mentioned, they've got the hole, and I will be doing a visible mending, which looks like this. I'll just have a picture up. So I used to embroider a lot. So I have a bunch of embroidery floss that we can choose between, our embroidery thread that we can choose between for the color. And then I'm gonna use an old curtain. So I'll cut out a little swatch of it. I don't know what the material of the curtain is. I imagine it's not like 100% cotton or anything, but I don't think that these are 100% cotton. These are 100% linen overalls. But the fabric feels nice enough because it is going to be like against my inner thigh, and the curtain fabric feels quite nice. So I think that that's going to work out well to use the curtain fabric, and there we go. I'm going to make my little patch, pin it in, and then let's choose colors. So I will come at you probably from the floor. All right, here we are on the floor as promised. I put on the pattern, which I printed from DMC. So I'll have a direct link to the one I used. It's a free DMC pattern. For this, they have a few other mending patterns as well. But I put it on, put my embroidery hoop on. Felt like you didn't need to watch me struggle putting the embroidery hoop on through the overalls, which this rip is like kind of right next to all this where the seams meet at the crotch. So it was very difficult to get the hoop on. I got a splinter. And then I also put on my patch fabric, which is this curtain light-ish blue, kind of like a denim blue fabric that you can barely see through. And so this is the design, and I'm doing it on these black linen overalls, and now I need to choose a color from my array of embroidery threads. So I'm thinking like I want it to be visible, but not like eye-catching because it is at my crotch. So I don't want it to be like neon pink, like pay attention here, but I do want it to like be fun. So I was thinking a blue could be nice with this, and maybe like got like this color. I feel like that might be too bright though. Let's see. I'm just gonna pull out all my threads in the blue category, and then we can discuss. I used to embroider a lot. A lot of the stuff on this wall is embroidered by me. You can't see anything embroidered in this angle, but I used to embroider a lot, hence why I have all of this. Yeah, I'm thinking a blue, and I could wind up a new blue, but I don't want to. Maybe a blue like this, where like you can see it on the fabric, but it's not that different. I don't know, maybe that one. This one, too dark. This is like a navy. I'm gonna make a pile of like too dark and too bright so that we can just kind of focus on the midtones here. I think this is just the lighter version of the blue I showed before. Ooh, and I really like that. I think this is my top contender. There's this blue, which I feel like is too dark, probably. I would like it, but it seems dark. Purpley blue, maybe. This is almost a green, and definitely like, I feel like would stand out too much. Too light. Probably, I don't know, I just don't like it. Too light. Maybe. So I'm gonna choose between these 4 colors here. I think this one would be the most kind of hidden, like it's the closest to it. And I don't know. Let me like pull out a strand and see what it would actually... It is visible. It would be visible, but not too attention grabby. So there's that one. Then I've got this color, which It's basically the lighter version of this. And is this one? I think that this thread is actually, yeah, from this. So I like the way that looks. It would be visible, but not too much stand out. Going back to this one, let me pull a little thread off. This one would also be pretty visible, but not stand out too much. Maybe I like this one more. And then there's these two. I don't think these are, yeah, no, I'm not crazy about that one. And then this one feels hard to get off of the thing. Oh my gosh, I can't even wind it off of here, but here we go. That one would be really visible, and I don't want that. So between these two, I feel like it's probably hard to tell on camera. No, it's not that hard. I feel like you can see the difference. This one's obviously a little bit more visible than this one, but this one does actually stand out more than I thought on the fabric. So I think I'm gonna go with the slightly darker one. So there we go. Okay, now I just have to set up to do my embroidery. All right, I finished the overalls. They're dry. I washed off the patch, and from afar, it looks pretty good. Um, yeah, this morning when I was looking at them, I was like, I hate this, but actually, on the camera, you can hardly tell. Like, there's just this little patch. But let me give you a little closer up. This is gonna be like a weird crotch shot, so sorry. Close, it's visible. I feel like it's kind of weird when you notice it because it's just like in my crotch, but I mean, it's a pretty good patch. Like it feels very stable. it is weird. And I'm gonna not make you look at my crotch anymore, and I'll probably take them off and show in a little bit more detail. But yeah, I mean, it's slightly weird. It's in the crotch. I know it would be slightly weird, and like the fabric's a little thicker, so they don't lay quite as nice. But there's not a hole, and I'd rather not have a hole. So I'm gonna call this a success. And I don't think it's that noticeable, like, if I'm out. I'm looking in the mirror. That's why I keep, like, looking the other way. But I don't think it's that noticeable. Like, here, let me show you in the mirror. I really wish you could perfectly see it, like, the way I see it. But you can see, like when I'm just standing, it's kind of weird. Because there's, like, something at my crotch. Maybe I should have gone with a darker color. I'm glad I didn't go with a lighter one. But it's also, like, I don't know. It's fine. It's fine. It's fixed. There's no more hole. So I'm gonna count it as a win, and like in the future I could always decrease the size of it because like the hole's not that big, and I did a much bigger patch area than I needed for the hole, so I could easily kind of rip some of this out to make it smaller. So okay, I'll show you off as well. Here's what the patch looks like when I'm not wearing it. You can see it's very securely like on there. This is the only part of the backing fabric you can see, and yeah, it feels very secure. I might trim these little fluffies, but otherwise, like, yeah, it feels like it's not going anywhere. And I could definitely decrease the size of the patch. Like, I could probably pretty easily remove this whole area, and maybe I'd like it a little bit better because that's what's kind of showing in the front is really just like this part, and then I just need this part, and I could maybe make it smaller like this way. So I don't know, I might decrease the size, but for now there's no longer a hole, and I feel like I want to wear them out and see how much I actually notice them before I decide to redo this, because this took a while. It was like a few hours of work, and it is cool. Like, it looks cool. I think that this patch would be amazing for like knees of pants, like anything on the actual legs, maybe. Or like, even if it was like back here on the butt, it could be cool, but I feel like it poking through at the crotch is slightly weird. Which, like, I kind of knew it would be slightly weird, but I was like, it'll be fine. And it's fine. Just, you know, slightly weird. So, yeah, I could kind of remove this whole, like, section here, and maybe that would make me feel a little bit better. But for now, they're done. I can wear them again, which is great. And we're finally on to the last project here, which is frogging my slipover. And so before I can frog it, I need to make sure I have really good gauge measurements. So I've got my little gauge checker here. This one has like a 2 by 2 inch square, but this side's 4 inches, so I can get a full 4 by 4 gauge swatch, and then I'll take some measurements too of like how wide things are and how deep I'd want things. So we're gonna start with the measurement, and then I get to do the fun parts of unpicking a bunch of Italian bind-offs and unweaving in ends, which is like the worst. So let's start with the gauge checking. I decided to use the measurements from this sweater vest, which is a commercial one that I got a few years ago that I've just had. I like the fit of this. I feel like the V-neck sits at a good spot, that it's like a good amount of ease, and that the armholes are reasonable. Like I can comfortably layer with this piece and have like a button up underneath, but I also feel confident wearing it on its own. And so I'm gonna take this piece and write down the measurements of it so that I can achieve similar measurements for my redo of the Friday slipover. So I laid out my Hollister sweater vest on top of the Friday slipover, and you can see it's like a lot bigger. Like these sides are pretty much aligned and there's still like a lot on this side, and then this is where my armhole ends and this is where this one ends, so a few inches different. And then you can't see the v-necks, but this one ends basically like here, let's say. Try to remember where that is. It ends like here. I've got my measurements, and I feel like this is a kind of interesting, like if you've never had to design anything, not had to, if you've never designed something with knitwear, this is one of the first steps of figuring out your favorite measurements. And sometimes I often use a commercial piece that I know I really like the fit of to kind of kick me off. And so that's kind of what you just saw me do, was take a bunch of measurements to see like, okay, where do I kind of want this to sit? And so I'm looking at my gauge is 17.5 stitches by 26.5. My desired armhole here is 21 centimeters. That includes the ribbed edge. So I want from the shoulder to where it ends to be 21 centimeters. And then the v-neck, I want it to be 16 centimeters from like the top of my back to where the v-neck joins and ends. And then my desired bust is 109 centimeters. So that's around, and you can take that measurement by laying your piece in half, or like laying your piece flat, measuring from side to side, and then just doubling that measurement gets you your bust circumference. And so just for fun, I took the measurements of the Friday slipover that I currently have to see how off I am. And the armhole was 27 centimeters. So there was like an extra 6 centimeters, or about 2.5 inches extra in the arm. Not cute. The desired v-neck, the v-neck was hilarious. So I want it to be 16 centimeters. What I currently have on the Friday slipover is 30 centimeters. So it's almost double what I would like and feel comfortable with. And then my desired bust, 109 centimeters. The current slipover is about 122 centimeters. So it's a lot wider than I need to. So, which is good, because the other measurements are going to mean I need to use more fabric. Like I'm filling holes, so that's going to take more fabric and more yarn. But I'm also decreasing the bust circumference, which will take less yarn, because all the yarn I have is right here. I don't have any extra, except for I do have more of this white that I used everywhere, and I do have more of the edging color. So I can increase the size of my rib if I need to, but I don't have any more of the Joshua Tree Surrey, which is like this color here. So I'm kind of limited on like doing that many modifications that are going to use yarn. So I'm glad that I'm going to reduce the bust circumference by a sizable amount, like over 10 centimeters. So that'll give me a lot more yarn to play with. So there we go. I think those are the measurements I want to take. I feel like I could maybe do something different with the neck, but I don't know. I can kind of play with that after I frog it, because if I was to do that, I'd do it based off of this, because you can kind of see like this one is shaped in the back where the shoulders are higher than the back here. So it sits a little bit differently. And I might want to do something like that. I was thinking I'd want to do something where the shoulders actually sit lower. Like a lot of drop shoulders do this, where the penta, it's kind of like a trapezoid shape in the back, where it's like this, and then the shoulders are sloped lower. But I do kind of like this fit. So I don't know, I can play with that. I can think that this is a good sample for me, but I don't need my completed off measurement Friday slipover anymore because I've got my desired measurements and my gauge. So I'm gonna frog it now. Hey y'all, okay, it's actually Saturday now. I thought that this was gonna be like a cute little day and a half, 2-day list of projects to do, and I was humbled. Everything took longer than expected, which at this point in my craft career, I should expect for things to take longer than expected, but it's all done. And so I've got my mended socks, which are so cute. Like, it's so fun with just the little spots. And then I've got my mended overalls, which we know how I feel about them. It is cool. Like, looking at it off, this looks cool. Looking at it on, still deciding how I feel. So there's that. I still might decrease the size of the mend at some point. And then I've got a bunch of balls of yarn. This was my Friday slipover, and now it's a bunch of balls of yarn. So I've got 4 balls with the Surrey in it, which you can kind of see. This is both the Surrey for the main color and the fingering weight yarn held together. So I've got 4 balls of that. And then I've got 3 little balls with the contrast Surrey from the all over ribbing. Then I also have the bottom ribs still in this form because I don't know if I'm going to need them, and I can just unravel them if I do. And this is my fun pile from unpicking Italian bind-offs. It's just a bunch of noodles. So I don't really know. I guess I'm gonna just throw this away because I don't know what I'd do with all of this, but it is very funny. I don't know. I feel like it's all like natural materials. I'm partially tempted to like look up if I can leave this for birds because this feels like it'd be very good for bird nests. I don't know. I'm gonna look up to see if I can do anything with it. Otherwise, I'll throw that away because I can't knit with it. It's like every piece is about this long. It's like tiny. So yeah, I finished everything, which is so exciting. So it was fun. It was really fulfilling to just do a bunch of little projects this week, and it was fun to just kind of experiment with different things. Like, never done duplicate stitching before, and I did that to fix my socks, and I think I'll be faster in the future so I can fix things going forward. I've never done sashiko mending before, and that was fun, and it's fun to like get back to embroidery because I used to do that so much. And then frogging a whole piece. I've actually never frogged a completed piece, so that was a new experience as well. So lots of new things, which is why it took so long. So hopefully I get faster at these skills going forward and I can implement them more. But I hope you enjoyed this. I hope that it was fun to kind of follow along, and maybe you have something that you've been neglecting that you could fix, and maybe you should do that too, because it's fun. Like, it's kind of fun to do something different. So yeah, that's it. Let me know if you've ever done any of this before: frogging, mending knitting, or mending with embroidery. So interested to hear what your thoughts are on any of those techniques. And thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you again soon. Okay, bye.